Okay, so this is for CST 100, week 4, the big picture. And to start off with, it's going to ask about the aspects of the kingdom in view this week. And the aspects are the prophesied kingdom. And that talks about Moses, the prophets, and judgments that later fall on Israel and its people. And it's not just Israel, because Israel does split into two kingdoms after this. And so the quick synopsis of it, it talks about how Moses didn't think he was good enough of a speaker, and so God gave Aaron as a mouthpiece. And the term mouthpiece would be the idea of a mouthpiece is really important as it goes on, because later the kingdoms do split into two, or the kingdom does split into two kingdoms, and then there's prophets and judges, which are essentially mouthpieces for God, and they preach to both sides. And then later on it talks about the capture of the kingdoms and the promises of hope. And the reason the kingdoms were captured was because they stopped listening to the prophets and judges, and they wanted a king, and the kings were not very good men, and God allowed them to be taken over by Babylon. So then it talks about, now it's asking, how does it seem that the aspect of the kingdom fits in and flows with the previous parts? And last week I talked a lot about how God wanted to bring his people closer to him by making the tabernacle, which was a place where they could go and they could sacrifice, and they could cover up their sins. And now, and once the kingdom split, even before they had split, he sent down prophets and judges to help lead the people and bring them closer to him. Now, they didn't listen, and they ended up having some really bad kings, which caused them to be taken into captivity, but he did still try. He's always trying to bring his people closer to him. And that leads into the aspects of this chapter and the significance for seeing the big picture. And in this chapter, like I said, it talks about how God puts people in place to help his people, like Aaron helping Moses to speak properly, because I can't remember where I heard this from, but it was said that Moses had a really bad stutter, so he didn't like talking. He didn't think he was good enough to talk, so God gave him someone to help him talk. And the prophets and the judges were the ones that were talking for God, because the people weren't listening, and the people didn't listen to the prophets or judges, which in turn led them to being captured by Babylon. And later on, after they stopped listening to the prophets, they ended up being exiled. And it's also mentioned that there's another exodus, meaning they're going to be taken out of Babylon and they're going to go back to their rightful kingdoms. But that doesn't happen for over 70 years, I want to say that's the number. But anyways, that's it. Thank you.